dun 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 dun. Explosions really kick ass. If you weren't getting enough mecha action from the first 2 episodes of Full Metal Panic: Invisible Victory, then look no further than the 3rd episode of the series, which is an epic battle against massive behemoths. We also pick up on the storyline that we saw at the very end of last week's episode, where it looks like all of Kaname's classmates have been captured. There's bombs all over the school, and even Tokiwa has a friggin' bomb strapped to her, and she's about to go boom! Basically, this was a pretty awesome episode, but it was also decidedly simple. The actual story of this week's episode is that the remaining forces of Merida Island are battling against these massive behemoth mechs, which are freaking awesome. There are some really great scenes in this episode, and they really do pour on the action. There's some victories, there's some losses, and there's a really nice cliffhanger ending. And then we finally go back to the end of the episode where we get to see there's that one creepy dude from Amalgam who has placed bombs all over Kaname's school and kidnapped her best friend, and even seems to have no qualms with absolutely trying to make her shit her sailor uniform by reminding her that she has said bomb strapped to her body. And then we have what I think is going to be the drama scene of the episode, the one that I actually really loved, as we had a nice quiet moment between Sosuke and Kaname, and we really haven't had that many of them in this season so far, so I really think that this was a necessary evil. They're still trying to escape using their camouflage, and then they finally get out, and this is when Kaname basically just lays it all out there for Sosuke. She's freaked the hell out. She's scared over the fact that she knew that this day would come, when bad people would come for her, when she'd start to understand her powers, and when she would start to use them to the point where they would transform her into someone that she really isn't. And frankly, it scares her. She's also scared of Sosuke because, you know, the dude's a friggin' mass murderer, but still, this is when Sosuke sort of leans in, and he basically is able to calm her down by saying that he's scared of her too, just for completely different reasons. He doesn't fully understand her, yet he's constantly drawn to her. This is truly what brings these two characters together. They have a connection, which honestly, you can't just write out on paper. It's not exactly black and white. It's a true attraction and wanting to just be with one another. And I'd be lying, and I'm sorry this sounds a little schmaltzy, but it's a very sweet scene. That and the fact that Kaname does start to come around and even thinks that she might be able to help out in saving all of her friends, or at least it's something that she will consider. And I have to admit, I got anime goosebumps in this episode. I love when an anime series can incorporate its ending theme into a final shot of the episode. It's cheesy as hell, but man, it just works so well in this episode. The minute that Kaname realizes that she's about to go down the path of no return and she grabs onto Sosuke's hand, that's when the guitar comes in, and it just works so freaking well. There's a lot of anime that do this, but still, I love the way it was done in this episode. It also made me realize that I kind of like the ending a little bit more than the actual intro. That being said, I still love the intro. It's very clean. But let's get to the nitty-gritty. What's the rundown on this episode of Full Metal Panic: Invisible Victory? This is the episode I was waiting for, the big epic mecha battle, and we're battling against 3 behemoths. That's kind of insane when you factor in that in the original series they only went up against 1, and it took everything they had to bring this bitch down. But in this episode, there are some major casualties, but there's also some fantastic action sequences and some great strategy. I love how they actually try to attack this one in the ocean by sending the mechs into the water to swim around, and we have Spec and this other dude whose name unfortunately just escapes me at the moment, but Spec is really an important person here as they're constantly swimming around this thing, firing at it from multiple directions, and basically just trying to trip it up while Weber is on the coast getting ready to snipe it from afar. But this ends up not working, and then Spec ends up getting, like, basically grabbed by this thing and crushed right in his hand. Right before he goes, he has some final words to apologize to the captain, to Tessa, and saying that he never really would have staged a coup, and then boom, he just goes out like that. But it does give Weber the opportunity to snipe this giant robot twice in the face, which causes it to completely collapse and destroy itself. I love the little details of watching it actually fall apart, like the torso just collapsing on its very own body, all of the metal pieces falling off, and then just comes the big boom. It's awesome. And they really could have just stopped there, but no, this is an episode that keeps on giving. More action scenes, more behemoths, and man, they're just so imposing and cool looking. The fact that they're so big and can actually sort of hover in air for a second is almost impossible and ridiculous, but it looks cool when you have this one that sort of comes up over the cliff and slowly lands, and you have Mao going up against one who basically just gets completely destroyed, but she does manage to survive when Castello comes in and sacrifices his life in what might be the most brutal kill of the series, and maybe one of the most stylish and cool-looking ones, where the Behemoth actually picks up the mech with the tip of the barrel of its massive gun, pulls it up into the air where he throws the mech, and as it's starting to fall, he just blasts it. And it's all done in this big, wide shot, but it just packs so much punch. And we have all these other forces that are coming in. Weber is forced to stay behind and fight. Tessa realizes the only way they're going to get out of here is they're going to have to get on that sub when it's completely incomplete and not with enough power, which could leave them stranded in the middle of nowhere, while friggin' Kalinon right next to her is continuing to be very dismissive and strange. Something is going on with that character, and I don't know if it's that he's lost faith in the cause, or there's something else a little crazier going on. Maybe he's actually on the other side and has been the other time, and now he's just starting to warm up to Tessa. I don't know, it's crazy. So, yeah, all the action in this episode was super solid, and definitely some of the best that I've seen from the third season, even though there's a lot of CG in the show. And you know what? I think it works better with mecha than it does with anime characters, but that's only because mecha are so angular and static that it kind of works for CG. When a character has moving parts all over their face and everything, it looks very puppetish, like it does in the Berserk anime series, the newer one, the one that's done with CG animation. It looks really awkward, but for robots, it just works. That, and combined with the fact that this series has some really great production value behind it, the close-up shots of the arm slaves, the mechs, look great. That shot at the end where Sosuke is getting out of the cockpit before he talks to Kaname, that just like still image of its face is so detailed in every single thing. Just freeze frame it and look at it and you'll be like, man, that looks really good. There's a lot of attention to detail in this show. But yeah, this was a good episode not only for the action, but we had a nice slow moment between Kaname and Sosuke, which is arguably the backbone of the series, and it really worked really well, and it's bringing these characters even closer together. Basically, this was another great episode of Full Metal Panic, and I cannot wait to see more. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. Check it out, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. You can tell me all of them in the comments section below. Let's start a discussion. Let's talk about our favorite parts about this episode, maybe some stuff you didn't even care for, and what you hope to see from the rest of Full Metal Panic: Invisible Victory. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay down now, baby. That's when the guitar comes in.